So apparently Patrick Corbin is a good pitcher again. Now this is a guy who's been one of the worst qualified pitchers for a couple of years now back with the Washington Nationals. And now going to the Texas Rangers, he's actually really effective and winning games and pitching really well for this team. And the question popped into my mind, why is he succeeding? I mean, is it just getting out of Washington that's helped him? Or do the Rangers have something where they're actually able to help him get his success back? Did they find something and fix something for him? And this kind of led me down a bit of a rabbit trail when it comes to the Mike Maddux effect. Now, given the fact that Mike Maddux's brother is Greg Maddux, I think we can begin to see why he might be a really good pitching coach, because Greg Maddux was the type of pitcher who wasn't just overpowering or anything, but he was one of the best pitchers as an effective artist when it came to his mental game, when it came to his precision and his mechanics. And so when it comes to teaching pitchers things like that, like precision, accuracy, mechanics, the mental side of the game, calling pitches, knowing how to use your stuff, makes sense that Mike Maddux would be a guy that would be really good at teaching that kind of stuff, because that's the kind of stuff that Patrick Corbin probably needed help with. And that also kind of leads to another question, is does Mike Maddux not do so great with young pitchers, but does he do a really good job of helping veteran pitchers, right? Because veterans are guys who are really in a position where they're going to need to learn new things to become effective, because they can't just overpower hitters with their raw pitches anymore. They're going to need to pinpoint their mechanics a little bit more. They're going to need to get inside of hitters' minds and find ways to get the desired outcome. I feel like those are things that are going to be Mike's strength. So when we kind of look at the past and see what pitchers Mike Maddux has helped, I think it kind of continues to hold true. Okay, so when Cole Hamels went to the Texas Rangers, Maddux helped him fix his approach. He helped him attack hitters and reduce walks. He also really helped him refine his pitch mixes and his sequencing, as well as his command. And those are things that kind of sound like the success that Greg Maddux had, which makes sense that Mike Maddux is good at teaching those things, and that's what he did for Cole Hamels. Yu Darvish was kind of the same way. Maddux adjusted some mechanics for him, helping him settle in, and also helped him work on his pitch management. Maddux really stressed the importance of keeping the pitch count under control and helped him find effective ways to keep it under control. And he also helped Yu Darvish maintain his effectiveness through the later innings of the game. Then with Lance Lynn, when he went to the St. Louis Cardinals, Maddux really helped him pinpoint his mechanics and become really dependable and consistent every single outing he had. Control and consistency were the big things to pinpoint for Lance Lynn, and they were mechanical adjustments that helped him get to those points. When John Lester went over to St. Louis, he had a little bit of a resurgence, and Mike Maddux had an emphasis there with him too. He emphasized mental toughness and the strategy of the game, and those were things that John Lester's benefited from at the end of his career. So overall, we can see the things that pitchers tend to learn from Mike Maddux are mechanics, right? With control and injury reduction. We also see him teaching pitch sequencing and mental approach. And with those kinds of things, you're going to see players like Jordan Montgomery, Martin Perez, Eovaldi, Andrew Heaney, John Gray, Dane Dunning, Michael Lorenzen. Those are the guys that are going to really benefit from that type of teaching and taking in those things. But it has seemed to me like maybe some of the young guys coming up in the Cardinals organization in the past years and the Rangers organization now, young prospects aren't really taking on to these things as well. Maybe they can't grasp the harder concepts or the consistency. They can't refine their craft that much. And Mike Maddux may not do the greatest job with just teaching overall stuff and how to utilize your stuff when you can just blow hitters away. And when we look back at the St. Louis Cardinals, we see a guy like Matthew Liberatore, who was considered a really high-end prospect pitcher, and he's still struggling today to try to gain a rotation spot. Alex Reyes was a guy who did have a lot of success with the St. Louis Cardinals, but with his pitch mix, he should have been a really solid starter, but they could only fit him in the bullpen. They really couldn't figure out how to get him into the rotation, which seemed to be like a bit of a miss. Now we see with the Rangers, Cole Ragans, when he was there, did not have a lot of effectiveness until he left and went to Kansas City. Jack Leiter has had mixed results, really bad at the beginning and maybe just now is starting to figure things out. Kumar Rocker has had some serious struggles trying to get into the big league rotation, and Owen White has also had his struggles, and these are all high-end prospects. So maybe it's just the volatility of prospects and young pitchers, or maybe it's just the fact that Mike Maddux has a very good approach for guys who have already learned to pitch in the league and are learning to become effective with less, which is not exactly what young pitchers need to learn as they look to establish themselves in the league. It would seem to indicate that Mike Maddux is a good pitching coach when it comes to teaching things that we saw his brother excel with so much, and so many pitchers under him have excelled with those same things, but there are other areas of pitching that maybe he's had some more struggles with. But to bring this back around to the home point, Patrick Corbin. I think Patrick Corbin has obviously really benefited from having Mike Maddux as his coach. He's a guy that's going to succeed under this. Or maybe he just likes the new president. I don't know. That's just a random thought that popped into my mind while watching Patrick Corbin pitch the other day.